As we last left off with Seiko obliterating the Minotaur's head, the battle takes an unexpected turn. The beast's massive body begins to crumble apart under the force of her kick, revealing beneath the shattered remains not a monster, but a human man. Kneeling and pleading, the man begs Seiko for mercy. Ayase watches, baffled by his sudden submission, while Kashimoto seethes, his irritation boiling over as he recalls every strike and attack the man had launched during their fight. As the man kneels to apologize, Seiko demands to know why he targeted her. He shows her a text on his phone explaining that he was instructed by an orchestrator to confront her at the restaurant. Suspecting another party's involvement, Seiko rushes to the nearest window and sees a figure with a dark aura walking away. Ayase quickly concludes that this accomplice was the one controlling the Shang-Chi. Kashimoto orders the man to call back the accomplice, but he claims it's impossible. He barely knows the person and only receives orders from the orchestrator, whose face no one has seen. When Seiko presses him about whether the same applies to the accomplice, the man explains that the orchestrator sends messages to many people at once, sometimes creating overlaps. To clarify, he reveals 3 knives designed for extracting power. Ayase is stunned and Seiko questions their origin. She explains to Kashimoto that the blades come from Asura, a sword stolen 5 years ago that could strip yokai of their powers and drive its wielder to mass slaughter. It was also capable of absorbing yokai powers and cutting down even the most skilled swordsmen. Due to its immense danger, a secret organization of Magi had Asura sealed away, but 5 years ago, someone stole it, and these blades are the Kozuka of that very sword. The man admits that he and his accomplice were tasked with collecting yokai powers, with the promise that anyone who gathers enough will have their wishes granted. Ayase scoffs at his gullibility, but Kashimoto urges patience so they can learn more. The man then reveals his true motive: to save his wife, who has only a year left to live. He joined the orchestrator's network after being introduced by a co-worker, though he now cannot remember the co-worker's appearance, nor can anyone else, as records of him have seemingly vanished. Suddenly, the next panel shifts focus to a giant image of Saint-Germain. At the faculty office, Murakami asks Saint-Germain if he's seen Adachi. When Saint-Germain presses for a reason, Murakami says a few colleagues are heading to a singles mixer and invites him along. Curious, Saint-Germain agrees. On his computer screen, a basketball trivia video plays in the background. Meanwhile, Vega arrives at Juicy Gyoza Manufactory Dandadan, yes, that is the name of the restaurant, to investigate reports of suspicious activity. Staff says a man was left behind at the scene while 3 others left after paying. Spotting Seiko, Ayase, and Kashimoto nearby, Vega overhears them. Seiko tells her ally she'll prioritize her granddaughter's safety and urges them to stay alert. They agree to investigate further and spread word of the danger. Vega approaches to question them, but just as he looks up from his notepad, the trio vanish to the rooftop, leaving him stunned and bewildered. Elsewhere, the History and Culture Research Club keeps track of Koki's movements, hoping to uncover which teacher might be the culprit. Kinta lists the ones who've spoken with her so far: Queen, Adachi, and Saint-Germain. When he recalls that Saint-Germain once asked Koki if he had discovered any secrets, Momo grows suspicious, and Okarun admits Saint-Germain asked him the same thing. Kinta agrees that Saint-Germain is odd, but cautions them against jumping to conclusions, since he has never mentioned knives or powers. Ira pushes to review the footage from Kinta's glasses. Excited, he hands them over. As Ira holds them, the frame shifts shape. Kinta explains they're made of nanoskin, responding to the mental image she projects. Embarrassed, Ira blurts out that she was imagining Okarun's glasses, then hurriedly tells Momo not to assume he's always on her mind. Okarun reasons that his glasses just happened to be in her line of sight, assuring her he'd never misinterpret her intentions. Elsewhere, Murakami spots Miss Adachi returning to school and asks where she went. She explains she stepped out to care for her sick mother. After offering sympathy, Murakami invites her to a staff mixer. Adachi politely declines, though he keeps insisting. Once alone, she checks her phone, revealing a message to the orchestrator, while the Shang-Chi silently trails behind her. Meanwhile, Ayase tries flirting with 2 female students. When he grabs one of their phones and sees they're admiring Okarun, he's caught off guard. The girls, uncomfortable, move to leave, but Ayase grabs one by the hand. She pulls away, calling him a creep, while he lashes out and calls them skanks. Other students glance his way, fueling his frustration. Seething, Ayase recalls the humiliation of being bested by Okarun in gym class. Ayase pulls out an Asura knife, recalling the mysterious voice that told him Okarun had special powers and that he could gain his own. The voices intensify, explaining that the Black Blade will steal Okarun's powers if he first forces him to accept defeat, while the White Blade will grant him new powers directly. Skeptical, Hase jabs his hand to test it, but before the thought settles, an elderly woman suddenly appears behind him, freezing him in fear. At the school gates, Kinta and several Kami High students hesitate to leave, intimidated by a group of delinquents loitering outside. Meanwhile, Okarun walks the hallway with Vomola, wondering if Seiko will truly take his training seriously. Momo reassures him, promising he'll be treated the same as Gigi during her sessions. Still, Okarun doubts it, believing Gigi's natural talent gives him an edge. The three soon notice the delinquents, recognizing them as Renjaku High students. Deciding to confront them, the Kami High crowd is impressed by Okarun's bravery. At that moment, Unji appears, having heard Okarun was nearby, and asked about Momo. With his longer hair and glasses, neither Momo, Okarun, nor Vomola recognize him until he reveals his identity. Momo lights up with joy at seeing him healthy again. But Unji is startled when he hears Momo's voice from nowhere, only to realize she's speaking while launching a kick with her powers. Surprised by her small size, Unji learns it's a side effect of the cursed trunk's food. Momo wonders why he isn't affected. Unji explains he's been searching for her since their escape. His eyesight has worsened, and his friend Daiki Hakono, the old man who also escaped, has been aging at an unnatural rate. Daiki's parents now refuse to acknowledge him as their son, since time inside the cursed trunk passed as 4 years in the outside world. Unji adds bitterly that all Daiki did was enjoy a birthday present from his parents, and now this has become the consequence. Saddened, Unji says he wants to help Daiki return to his normal age. Momo agrees, offering to bring them to her home. Just then, Ira and Gigi step outside and spot Unji holding Momo. Mistaking him for an enemy, Ira attacks with her acrobatic silky hair, and Gigi lunges to pull Momo away. Unji manifests one of his umbrellas, blocking Ira's strike. Seeing a power user appear right after Koki's defeat, Ira and Gigi move to fight him. Prepared to bring the three-way battle to its climax, all three sorcerers simultaneously activate Domain Expansion. Okay, obviously I'm joking, but come on, doesn't that panel kind of look like it? No? Alright, I'm done. Anyway, Vomola jumps in, activating her kaiju suit to shield Gigi, while Momo uses her power to undo both Ira and Unji's transformations. Stunned, the group freezes as Momo scolds them for transforming in public and reminds them they're allies. She orders Ira, Gigi, and Unji to apologize to each other. Reluctantly, they do. Elsewhere, the Kura who once piloted the jet booster exosuit awakens in a desolate, ruined landscape, eerily reminiscent of Reiko Kashima's territory. Struggling against Earth's crushing gravity, she can barely stand. Count Saint Germain approaches casually, asking if the now defunct suit was hers. With no power left in it, he suggests she seek a replacement. When the Kura demands to know his intentions, he tells her he requires her assistance. She can refuse if she wishes, but he warns that without his aid, survival on Earth will be nearly impossible, a truth she realizes as her body trembles under the weight of the planet's gravity. Meanwhile, on the road to the Ayase residence, Momo scolds Ira and Gigi for glaring so intently at Unji. Ira admits she doesn't trust him, but Unji brushes off her suspicion, only irritating her further. Upon arriving, they find Mandro parked out front in his van. Gigi asks about the Evil Eye's briefs, and Mandro explains they've become a tourist attraction, leaving Gigi utterly baffled. Seiko steps outside with packed suitcases, announcing a trip. Avoiding questions about her bandages, she reveals their destination, Shimane. There, she believes, lies a way to restore Momo to her original size. The news excites the group, and Okarun, Gigi, and Ira eagerly ask to join. Seiko allows it, provided they prepare quickly. When she notices Unji and the elderly man with him, she asks who they are. Momo explains they were trapped with her in the cursed trunk and now need help to undo its effects. Seiko suspects they share the same curse as Momo and invites them along. When Unji worries about the cost, she assures him money will not be an issue. Just then, Kinta zooms in on his hoverboard, crashing spectacularly to the floor like the bumbling fool he is, and announces that the blackmailer has been identified after meeting with Koki, with Rin tailing them now. When Seiko asks what's holding them up, Momo pleads to delay the trip to aid their colleague, but Seiko refuses. They must leave immediately to reach Shimane before the hours of the ox on tomorrow's supermoon. Ira offers to stay behind, asks for Momo to see to it she returns to normal. Okarun, though reluctant, also chooses to remain and apologizes to Momo. She assures him she understands, gives him her blessing, and promises she will return to normal. With that, Okarun, Ira, and Kinta dash back toward the school. At the gym, Rin hides behind a wall when suddenly an unknown man steps up from behind her. Upon reaching the school, Kinta tells Ira that the video feed from Koki's hair ornament abruptly cut off just as she entered the gym. Ira instructs Okarun and Kinta to stay behind while she investigates. Okarun protests, worried for her safety, but Kinta reminds him that he no longer has any powers. As Ira enters the gym in her acrobatic silky form, Okarun and Kinta are suddenly ambushed by Ayase and his ally, who strike them with tremendous force. Fortunately, Kinta's airbags absorb the impact. After the dust settles, Ayase, joined by the Cur, who once piloted the jet booster exosuit, slowly approaches the two gentlemen. Inside, Ira faces a gym filled with headless bodies, their severed heads hovering ominously above them. One of the heads blows a whistle, signaling the enemies to strike. The headless bodies launch their assault, hurling the floating heads like deadly projectiles. Ira dodges with precision and counters with targeted strikes and her pirouette noble drill, but the bodies keep regenerating. Realizing a power user, like Koki, is controlling them, she knows she must take down the controller, though her thoughts are still drawn to the whereabouts of Koki and Rin. Her fear turns to shock when she sees one of the floating heads is Rin, with Mai beside her, weeping for her friend. Mai pleads with Ira to help fix Rin, revealing that the headless figures were responsible for forcibly removing Rin's head after dunking her through a hoop. As Ira navigates the chaos, carrying Rin's head and dodging attacks from the headless bodies, she notices a strange leak from Rin's neck and questions Mai about their origin. Mai explains that the figures are called severed head dribblers, basketball players who use the heads of anyone who trespasses into gyms at night. Trying to calm a panicked Mai, Ira insists they must find the power user to end the nightmare. Her focus is shattered when Rin's heads speak, warning that Koki is in danger, and Ira is stunned to see her own headless form accidentally dropping her head before quickly picking it back up. Mai feels relief that Rin is still alive, explaining that Rin's head exists in the living world while her body is in the spirit world, leaving her at risk of drifting away as her life force leaks. Suddenly, two incoming attacks slam toward Ira, causing her to lose her footing after a severed head dribbler's head crashes into the wall, leaving her exposed. Mai attempts to shield her, but Ira steps in, taking the blow herself and suffering severe back injuries. Mai urges Ira to stay strong and calls on Rin to sing and use her power, only to learn that Rin cannot do so without her body. One severed head dribbler seizes Ira, preparing to dunk her like Rin. In that critical moment, Ira recalls a childhood memory of playing dollhouse when a friend had submerged a doll's head in a small tub of water. The memory sparks the idea that Rin can be restored by reversing the dribbler's process. Using her acrobatic silky hair, Ira grabs Rin's head and passes it under the hoop, restoring her. Mai shouts at Rin as one dribbler attempts to slam her, while another hurtles through the air, aiming to crush Ira. Suddenly, Rin dons her Onbusaman outfit and uses gravity manipulation to repel the severed head dribblers. Rin thanks Ira, blushing when Ira notices her revealing outfit. Mai explains that Rin can control gravity, but Ira, still fixated on the outfit, asks why she has to wear such an embarrassing getup. Meanwhile, more enemies begin to close in on them. Rin urges Ira to take cover while she fights, but Ira refuses, asserting her role as leader and preparing to battle alongside her. While insisting Rin continue battling the severed head dribblers, Ira suggests she broaden the range of her gravitational power. It's here we learn that Rin's abilities have a limited field of influence, and Mai reveals this is due to her underdeveloped song delivery. The two then shift their focus to locating Koki. Mai informs them that Koki is also a floating head, guarded by pygmies, which complicates their search as the tiny creatures obscure her location. With Mai being the only one who can see Koki, she temporarily leaves Rin to retrieve her. As Rin, powerless without Mai's support, and Ira move through the gym, they attempt to distract the enemies. Meanwhile, Mai, now merged with the pygmies, takes the form of a basketball dribbler and squares off against the severed head dribblers. She outmaneuvers her opponents with quick dribbles before leaping into the air, where three dribblers rise to block her shot. Rin and Ira watch with anticipation as Mai directs the pygmies to position Koki's head beneath the basketball hoop, completing the play successfully. Once accomplished, Koki regains consciousness, her body restored, and is rescued by Ira from the severed head dribblers. As Ira dodges another wave of attacks, her hair coils around Rin, pulling her along as she urges her to sing quickly. Koki panics briefly but is quickly reassured by Ira, revealing that her blackmailer is none other than Murakami, the teacher who has been scrutinizing female students' social media accounts, particularly those posting revealing photos. Ira expresses her disgust and prepares to confront Murakami in the gym. However, Rin warns that the severed head dribblers are growing in size, and Ira notices the walls closing in while Rin's gravitational range narrows. To make matters worse, Mai informs Rin that she cannot continue singing without a break and has only 5 minutes of power left. Overwhelmed, Ira realizes it will be difficult to defend against the giant dribblers while also protecting Rin and Koki. She asks Koki to instruct the pygmies to search for Murakami in the gym. Meanwhile, Murakami is revealed to be elsewhere, gleefully observing the battle from an exercise bike. Following Ira's guidance, Koki asks the pygmies to help locate Murakami and apologizes for her earlier disrespect toward them. Meanwhile, Murakami, having finished his session on the exercise bike, approaches Adachi, who stands uncomfortably in a revealing bunny outfit. Displeased with her lack of enthusiasm, she warns her to change her attitude if she wants to keep receiving his financial support for her mother's care. Unbeknownst to him, Adachi clutches a talisman behind her back. Back in the gym, the pygmies tell Koki that Murakami was never there to begin with, and she quickly relays this to Ira. Realizing they've been deceived, Ira urges Rin to keep singing a little longer while they fend off the severed head dribblers, but Rin is already at her limit. Just as Koki begins to feel helpless watching Ira and Rin fight, she is stunned to see a piano constructed by the pygmies. Mai, Ira, and Rin encourage her to play, as Mai explains that the pygmies are urging Koki to use her abilities, believing it could amplify Rin's powers. As Koki sits down, memories of her mother's strict lessons flood back, causing her to struggle with the keys. Ira looks on, confused, and tells Koki that it sounds all messed up. Koki explains that she can't play properly due to her inexperience with this type of piano, but Ira insists she improvise, reminding her that she has perfect pitch, recalling her past performances, and urging her to reconnect with her pianist spirit. She goes on, telling Koki that as a child she always imagined how fun it would be to play alongside her, and though she quit when Koki did, she wants Koki to give it her all in this moment and to remember that feeling. Encouraged, Koki tries again and produces a melody. In a double-page spread, her intense concentration is evident. Flying heads fill the gym, and the full force of Koki's passion is revealed as Rin, Mai, and Ira look on, shocked. Ira, moved by the tune, asks Rin if her power is growing, though Rin responds uncertainly. Mai speculates that Koki's music doesn't amplify power or control the pygmies, but serves another purpose, as a massive swarm of flies buzzes ominously over Kamigo City. Elsewhere, as Adachi is carried to a sofa by Murakami, she notices her Shang-Chi revealing themselves behind him, having sensed that their master is in imminent danger. Using telepathy, she instructs them to remain still, stalling to gauge Murakami's power and wait for him to lower his guard. Suddenly, the two teachers are confronted by a massive swarm of flies, leaving Murakami stunned as he turns to see the chaos. Meanwhile, Ira and Rin are horrified by the infestation overtaking the gym. Mai explains that the phenomenon is caused by Koki's ability, the Lord of the Flies, which grants her control over small living creatures. Koki smiles, completely lost in thought as she plays. As the flies begin attacking him, Murakami panics. Unaware of the outside interference, Adachi seizes the moment, pulling out an Asura and attempting to steal Murakami's power, demanding his surrender and offering to spare his life, while Murakami glares at her, furious. Realizing Adachi is also collecting powers, Murakami, now engulfed by the swarm, extends his hand, seemingly ready to fight back, but instead pierces himself with a Kozuka knife and gives in, allowing Adachi to acquire the severed head dribbler power. Murakami calls for help, but before she can intervene with the assistance of her Shang-Chi, the flies carry him out the window. With the enemies gone, Ira and Rin, holding on to each other, look toward Koki and push to assist her as she struggles to move from using her ability. As the girls wonder about the dribbler's fate, a swarm of flies burst into the gym, delivering Murakami back inside. Ira quickly transforms and tells the girls to stand back. Startled but trying to remain composure, Murakami feigns ignorance, claiming he had been about to take a bath at home when the strange phenomenon occurred. As he tries to leave, suggesting the girls do the same, Ira kicks him in the face, demanding he address his wrongdoing. Realizing he cannot easily escape, Murakami agrees to delete the incriminating photos of Koki, but arrogantly tells them not to make a big deal, saying it would look poorly on them as long as he has the pictures. Ira swiftly corrects him with another kick, insisting that what they expect is for him to admit he is a despicable human being. Elsewhere, a yokai-powered Hase and an alien survivor from the Kurds Advanced Unit, now wearing a new exosuit, chase Okarun and Kinta. Kinta panics, demanding to know who their pursuers are, while Hase strikes Okarun. The blow is softened by airbags on Okarun's wrists, crafted by Kinta's nanoskin. Okarun warns that his defense won't last and urges they find Rin and Koki, but Kinta dismisses him, telling Okarun to distract the enemy instead. Okarun questions why an alien and a yokai user are working together. Hase reverts from his yokai form, exhausted and sore, and scolds the alien for moving around, which throws off his aim. He orders her to focus on Kinta, but she ignores him, struggling to manage the exosuit gifted by Count Saint Germain. Hase presses her to focus, reminding her they both want Okarun's powers. Yet, after transforming again, he admits his real goal is revenge, warning her not to get in his way. While they argue, Kinta seizes the chance to form armor for Okarun with his nanoskin. He tells Okarun not to touch the fragile equipment, explaining it has veneers on the back and pile bunkers on the legs. He then uses the rest of the nanoskin to create the massive Great Kinta suit for himself, leaving Okarun unimpressed with his own lighter armor. Hase orders the alien to follow instructions and target Kinta, but instead it dodges Kinta's attack and strikes Okarun, though his armor absorbs the blow. Proud of his handiwork, Kinta explains he's been testing steel's hardness to improve his design since the invasion. Okarun complains the suits are too heavy, and Kinta admits he never noticed the weight when piloting a giant robot. But now that it's human size, it feels sluggish. In that moment of distraction, Hase kicks Kinta away. The alien tries to kick Okarun, but he barely evades and then demands to know the alien's motive. She claims he has taken everything from her. He fires back that their feud began when she stole his kintama. She then reveals the Kurd destroyed her world and she only joined them to get close enough to assassinate their emperor, nearly succeeding as Haster's right hand. However, following Momo and her friend's victory in the invasion, her plans have been ruined. Though she demands recognition for her suffering, Okarun dismisses it and launches forward with his veneers. She blocks his strike and prepares to counter, but Okarun unleashes his pile bunkers, blasting her back as they both tumble. Trying to end the fight, Okarun pleads that he isn't her enemy, but as memories of her partner resurface, she refuses to yield, vowing to take his life, and then her own. The clash between Okarun and the exosuit alien intensifies as fleeting memories of her home planet, both sweet and traumatic, flash through her mind. She attacks Okarun relentlessly from all angles, forcing him to activate his boosters and crash into her head first. She opens her suit's mask and bites his arm, but he counters with his pile bunkers mid-fall. As she charges again, Okarun notices, to his surprise, that her face is not the same as the Kur. A precise kick to his arm drives his palm against the nanoskin, compromising its durability as Kinta had warned. However, Okarun realizes he touched the alien's exosuit. The two enlarged circles appear on it, one highlighting its left knee, the other an empty circle on its back. The alien then charges her exosuit for a devastating kick, shattering Okarun's armor and sending him flying. Hase, focused on Kinta, recognizes her lethal intent and intervenes. Claiming that only he has the right to strike Okarun, he squares off against her and uses his jumping crone powers to launch her skyward, slamming her into the ground repeatedly to keep her down. During the brief pause, Okarun informs Kinta of his accidental contact with the nanoskin, frustrating Kinta over the damage to his work. Realizing their best chance is to merge, Kinta envelops Okarun in nanoskin, leaving him confused. As Kinta shouts that the merge is complete, they form a bizarre-looking robot with Okarun awkwardly carrying Kinta on his shoulders. Despite Kinta's superior control, he relies on Okarun's combat reflexes and sharp vision to dodge enemy attacks. Hase, having thrown the alien aside, orders her out of his way, but the merged duo ambush him. Hase dodges their attacks but feels insulted by their weapon choice, sensing mockery in their strategy. The duo activates their veneers, barely parrying Hase's assault, and attempts the blast wind thrust attack, but Hase's astonishing speed stops them, kicking them into the air before following up with the second strike that slams them to the ground. During the struggle, Okarun admits to Kinta that the nanoskin merge is a liability, weighing them down and damaging their gear further. Kinta is left dumbfounded by the predicament. Hase expresses his frustration with Okarun's tactics after he and Kinta merge into a robot suit, feeling underestimated. Okarun claims their merged form has weakened, but Kinta dismisses this and launches the blast wind thrust attack at Hase. Hase counters by bracing his spring feet against the robot's fist and releasing his propulsion to destroy it. Kinta quickly repairs the damaged arm as Hase prepares to strike again, but Okarun counters with his pile bunkers. While Hase looks down on Okarun for his kick, Kinta praises his partner's effort. Okarun notes that, as a combined unit, they still can inflict serious damage on Hase and suggests using nanoskin to create additional weapons by simplifying the robot's facial design. Kinta rejects the idea, insisting he won't pilot a robot that doesn't look cool, claiming that passion fuels his inspiration, prompting Okarun to call him out for such an obnoxious statement. As Kinta swings for another punch, shouting passion, Hase kicks both him and Okarun into the air, tearing the robot apart from multiple angles and asserting their inferiority, remarking that lowlives like them trying to stand up to him give him the creeps. Just as the robot is obliterated, Okarun recalls a time when Hase bullied him for his interest in UFOs. Spurred by the memory, he grabs Hase and asserts his passion, declaring that the US government has officially acknowledged UFOs. Hase repeatedly strikes Okarun, who shouts for Kinta to merge with him. Kinta uses nanoskin to bind Hase's legs and form wings, allowing all three to hover. As Hase demands to be freed, Kinta reminds Okarun of his earlier comment that the merger made them heavier, though he disagrees that it made them weaker. To prove it, they dive with the wings, and mid-air, Hase shouts Okarun's name before they slam him into the ground, knocking him out. With Hase defeated and her exosuit sparking from damage, the female alien retreats. Meanwhile, Kinta jokingly asks Okarun to call him Colonel, and exhausted from the battle, they lean on each other side by side with their thumbs out as Okarun says, whatever. Elsewhere, Adachi meets an unidentified man at the embankment beneath the overpass to transfer Murakami's power, as directed by the Orchestrator. During the encounter, the Orchestrator contacts her via phone, revealing that Murakami, like Adachi, was one of their subordinates tasked with gathering powers. The revelation shocks Adachi. The Orchestrator points out her mistake, noting that Murakami was never a target, and questions why she pursued him. Adachi explains that her suspicion of Murakami possessing powers drove her actions and assures the Orchestrator she won't repeat the same mistake. Despite this, the Orchestrator disqualifies her, citing both her mistake and her reliance on luck when acquiring Murakami's power, after Koki used her Lord of the Flies ability. She is ordered to surrender her Asura and the power received to the man. Adachi pleads for another chance, but the Orchestrator denies her, explaining that her compassionate nature prevents her from successfully extracting power from someone with an ID cosmos. Fearless individuals who can only be defeated if their adversaries are willing to harm those close to them. When Adachi protests, citing the need to help her mother, the man attacks her. As the man continues attacking Adachi with the briefcase, she flashes back to a memory of her mother feeling helpless, until Vega intervenes, kicking him away and calling for backup. As Vega prepares to confront the assailant, a face card from the fairy tale card emerges from the man's back, startling Vega, who recognizes it. Realizing Vega is immune to the fairy tale card's control, the Orchestrator shifts tactics, taking control of Adachi to force her to attack Vega. After Vega restrains her, the Orchestrator orders the man to flee immediately. Meanwhile, at the airport, Seiko entrusts Manjiro with responsibilities during her absence, while her student urges her to prioritize her recovery due to an ongoing injury. At the same time, Momo tries to call out to Vamola from her shoulder but only catches Gigi's attention. She expresses concern, noting that Vamola has been unresponsive as she cannot see her, fearing the curse may be progressing and transforming her into a pygmy. Elsewhere, Aira, Rin, and Koki reunite with Okarun and Kinta as they carry Hase's unconscious body. To find out what happens next in Dandadan, you're going to want to click on this video right here.